What's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time?
You gotta give him that huck too and spit on that thing. You get me?
I'm gonna come.
What can I say? Bit the cobwebs off this thing.
I'm gonna do it.
No, 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 no.
Good morning, guys. We're going to take a look at Trump token this morning. I think it's a MAGA USDT on Mexc, not to be confused with DJT. I know that's a big topic. It's kind of why we're making this video as well. And let me know what you guys think about the intro. I think they're funny, and it would be fun to continue doing that, having these kind of like goofy intros for you guys. So, yeah, Trump token. This is one we called out in the group actually a long time ago. If I take a look at it while we're doing the dialogue before we jump into the charts here. But, you know, Trump was announcing that he's going to run. He was the clear cut winner for the Republican Party in terms of nominee. And a token was launched. And assuming that he gets elected, you know, this could be one of those plays where, you know, you're riding the momentum. You know, whether you like Trump or dislike him, I do think he falls into that category of like that Elon Musk territory where anything that guy puts his name on, he has a cult following. It's going to get some kind of traction more than likely. So it is an opportunity to potentially, you know, make some money in this space. I don't think it's something I'd want to own longer than maybe this election cycle, hype cycle. But it is something that you could have made a substantial amount of money on. Had you just gotten in early. I believe we were getting in, oh man, right around $4. We gave that in a live stream. I was turned on to it by Sistine Research Forest. I've been on a few shows with that guy, very smart, really in tune with shitcoin markets. And yeah, so I've made some decent money on it. I've got some friends even outside of the group that bought into it because I was talking to him about it. But if he does get elected, I think that this could continue. But as traders, we need to go ahead and start looking at what we can do to position ourselves best so that we can mitigate risk, meaning that obviously all plays are a risk, especially this one, because I do think it's going to zero eventually. I just think we should probably take a peek at the chart and see where, if you were looking for an entry and you weren't already in this asset, you should be looking at in terms of getting out. Now, we had one box that we were watching prior to this, which essentially was a breakout. You can see you have your higher lows, your flat support, and we're back at that zone now. So that is kind of an important area, and we'll talk about that. But first and foremost, I always start out high time frames. There's only 4 months worth of history here. Okay, so not a lot. And this thing, when it launched, went to $37. I don't really necessarily know that we should be utilizing that as an all-time high on this exchange or not. I don't do enough homework off of here. Now, if you wanted to trade it outside of Mexc, there are other exchanges that carry this. You just have to be careful because there's a ton of variations. This is an 850 million market cap asset, I believe, right now. So that's what's going to denote and probably be the best way for you to determine which one is which. Just look at the market cap. You know, obviously DJT's got a little bit of a following because it's Donald J. Trump. People are trying to tie Barron to it. I don't get into all that. I don't care. I believe that one's somewhere between 170 million and 100 million market cap and kind of fast tracking to zero potentially. So, because it was backed by Martin Shkreli, the scam guy. So not ideal. But when we start looking at this in terms of just, you know, horizontals, things like that, you can see we have the April high here at the lows. That's kind of where we're back testing now. And we have a quarterly high up here. So this will be from Q2, which started in April. So April's Q2 first month high. And this is the overall high for the quarter. So kind of an important thing to maybe take note of. Another thing you could do is always just say, well, in the last quarter, where do we sit in terms of fibs? You can see we're right at pretty close to the gold pocket here. So not a bad thing at all. The other thing you could do with that quarterly low and quarterly high is just throw it on what I call the OB, but you're essentially just doing something like this and just lining out, you know, areas that you would be interested in terms of like a channel, so to speak. So you've bracketed off an upper channel and a lower channel just using a Fibonacci indicator. And from there, you can say in the last quarter, this is where price has been operating primarily. And I would like to be involved either at this level This level was a nice bounce. Obviously, we're bouncing from the EQ of the lower band, but realistically, point of control of the overall quarterly range is beneath us still. So we'll talk about that. But, just kind of some little tricks right out the gate. So we do have a trade setup here locally, but I think if I was looking for high time frame positions, I would start again with that quarter high and that April high, and then move on out again one more time, I believe in this case, to the quarterly. And what you'll notice is that you are going to close this quarter probably more than probably green, creating a flat level of support here that we could mark off. And then going out to the monthly, you can see you have one above you. So there's really only two big levels that we need to be paying attention to in terms of places the market may be making a pretty big decision. So if it comes back to these levels and it didn't hold, you would obviously be looking at price discovery to the downside. That's not a good thing. You're fast tracking to zero. But if it did revisit, $4.58, that's a pretty good area to be looking to stack up, even though we are at support here for right now. So keep that in mind. This is support. If this support at April high is lost, we are looking for this quarterly level. And if you recall, we were just looking at it through the lens of the volume profile. We'll go to the periodic volume profile in this instance, and we'll go out to the monthly, and we'll just crank it up to the quarterly with 3 months of data. And this is not giving us what we need because that starts in May. Don't like that. So I guess we'll just keep it at the monthly. And you'll notice that it's an NPOC from May. So we have that marked out. But if we were to go ahead and again throw on that quarterly range we just talked about, I believe it was right here, you can also see it's going to be the quarterly NPOC at the close of June, more than probable, unless we lose this level and make our way down. So if I was looking for entries, this is where I'd begin to take a look. So we are at support now, and you can see this was an old value area high of the inception. You've got the April high here as well, and we had that local gold pocket we looked at earlier when we started messing with fibs. So this is kind of a level I'd be interested in trading. The month will likely leave its NPOC up here near the highs. Not a big deal. That hasn't closed yet, but this level here at 458 to 469, kind of an optimal area to be looking for trades, right? So if we get rid of that now, we can also take a look at, well, the weekly might offer up something as well. I believe it did. I had turned on the weekly, and you'll see that you have a weekly NPOC all the way up here as well. This week is obviously not closed, so we can't really mark that one. But you did even have a weekly NPOC down here at the May NPOC. You oftentimes will have overlapping values. And then if you went to the daily off of this local high, you'll find another one. So you've got your levels marked out and your points of control. Really all you need to do, we have the key highs and lows. And you can see that this to me is essentially filled. You can see it's tapped almost officially. This one did leave some discrepancy. So I am leaving the weekly NPOC and this daily naked point of control all the way up here. Those are going to be the levels I'm most interested in. And what you'll notice about the two orange horizontals that we did mark out is that they both have NPOCs on them, one here and one here. So these are inflection points of the market. And this would be our other inflection point. So if this level is lost, we're going to trade this low here. We are only looking for longs down here. You can't look for anything else. However, this is also support. So we're not looking to short this area. We are looking for reasons to potentially take along. The question is that going to be a higher low, or will this be just kind of a pit stop where we can just take a trade out of the arena? For that, you do need to go down to the lower time frames. And to me, we start looking at averages. So one thing to note about this asset is it's fairly new, so there's not a ton of data on it. You did miss your first monthly pivot here, which it did come back and fill that in. You haven't missed any since. And in terms of the weekly pivots, you've actually never left a weekly pivot. So no weekly pivots outside of this one here, which is at the high. The rest of these are, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You are 14 out of 15 on your weekly pivot touches, meaning that we've touched this one here. We would be looking for another one. And I consider a touch anything within, I believe it's 1% or 0.5%, excuse me, on the weekly. So I do give it a little bit of a grace period there just because it's easier to do that way. But if we turn on a tool that's available to us in the group, shout out to couple of the guys that make indicators for us there. You can see that our new weekly would be coming in above us at 847. So knowing the statistics of hitting these and knowing that we are at support, this is already an area to be looking to try to get that long and see if you can't take 15% out of the market. And if we zoom out even further now and we take a look at like a monthly or in this case, bi-monthly setup, right? So quarterly. So this means that we're projecting for the quarterly pivot, the new one incoming, and the monthly. You can see that gives you even more of a room to run. So this is a 30% runner just from where we are. I would be looking for longs out of this region for that reason. That's solely the reason why, is looking for that mean reversion play. You can do things like turn on your VWAPs, guys. You can do whatever you may need to do. Quarterly and monthly will probably be your best friends in this case. And what you will notice is they are both above us here. So if you were to go ahead and turn on, again, your quarterly range with your quarterly VWAP, you are at support here, and you will be coming into this one right here. That is the quarterly, and that would also be that weekly pivot, and you'd have your quarterly and monthly pivots just above you where the monthly VWAP is coming at. So going to be a fairly important region on the chart over time here. And what I would say is I would be watching the monthly time frame, okay, in terms of ranges to trade, and the quarterly right now. Okay, so you can see that at the weekly pivot is what? The monthly value area low. If we get above this, I'm not saying we're going all the way back up to the point of control here and the weekly naked point of control, but you do have a lot of pull to the upside in terms of averages for that mean reversion style play. So that would be the move. Otherwise, if this trade doesn't work out, you do need to remain patient, in my opinion, because you would then just be looking down all the way to like 458 to 69, I believe is what we had said. And let's see, this is on log. Let's take it off. There you go. So, from a simple Fibonacci retrace standpoint, if this is a good low and we're looking to reclaim some of these averages, which we'll get rid of, we know they're there now. One would be looking at the 382, which came in very nicely between the weekly and the monthly and quarterly. Also have your VWAPs that are going to be kind of around this area. But then you have this gold pocket up here, linear scale, up at the weekly naked point of control and soon to be monthly naked point of control. Okay, so that would be a pretty important area to be trading out of. And if claimed, well, we shift our eyes back up to this daily naked point of control and monthly horizontal level. But at that time, I probably do become a little more bullish if we're back up here and looking for a new high on this rally specifically. So that's Trump. That's MAGA, guys. I don't know much about meme coins and altcoins. I would never advise anyone to invest, but I know this is a highly requested one. This is one where a lot of people do like to jump on this train, especially since it's relevant from a social and political standpoint. So be careful. Only risk what you're willing to lose was what I would say. And, if you guys are curious about how to use some of these tools and how we come up with our trading plans, definitely look in the bio. There's a link to Discord. It's free for anyone to join. There is a premium section with tutorials and whatnot as well, but you guys can make that decision on your own, So otherwise, everybody have a great Friday, and don't forget to go outside and enjoy the weather in real life with family and friends, okay? Cheers.